He's been listening to this fucking Old Town Road on repeat for the past like 30 minutes. I got the horses in my ass, horse stacks in my ass, something, 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 and something in my ass. What is up, YouTube? My name is Iggs, and oh boy, do I have a story for you. So, a couple months ago, my ex-girlfriend and I broke up, just short, like literally one day short of our 1-year anniversary. Story for another time, but basically it kind of threw a curveball in my life in the last couple months of my senior year. So that was fun, but basically for the next 3 months, I think we're coming up on 4 now. I kind of lost track, but yeah, for pretty much the next 3 months, I was like down in the dumps, didn't want to do anything, didn't really want to talk to anybody, whatever. And like, you know, literally my whole day just consisted of 4 days a week, or during the weekdays. I would wake up at 7. Alarm would go off at 7. Wake up at 7:30. Then I would get up, go to school, be to school by 8. Then I'd get out early at 12:45. Start work at 2. Work until 6. Drive 45 minutes home from work. And then I had homework to do, and I really have no time to do anything. So that was pretty much what went on during my week. So yeah, I was pretty much enjoying the last couple months of my senior year by working, going to school, and being a little shit sitting in my bedroom, being like a little depressed egg that didn't want to do anything. Now, senior prom was coming up, okay? I went to prom last year. Prom at my school, at least, is only available to juniors and seniors. So last year, with my previous girlfriend, I went to both my prom and her prom 2 weeks in a row because we went to separate schools and whatever complicated stuff. But now senior year comes around the corner. I get hit with this curveball, and yeah, I don't have a date. So me, still being the person that doesn't really want to do anything, didn't plan on going. But this year, the same group I went with last year, which happens to be my best friends, were saying, dude, you need to come to prom. And I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't have a date. I'm not going solo to prom. That's stupid. And no, I'm not interested. So over the course of the next, I don't know, month and a half or so, they were like, oh, come to the prom. Oh. And eventually I was like, all right, if I can find a date to go with, then fine. So at this point, and I mean, still up to the point right now, I'm not really ready for another relationship at the moment. So my date would be more of like a friend, I guess. But like, I don't, like, not that I don't have a lot of female friends, but it's, like, not anybody that's like close enough. There's just like this one chick named Gina. Yeah, shout out to you. That I was gonna ask her, but she had a boyfriend. Woo! Okay, great. And she wasn't going to prom with him. And I was like, okay, well, you're not going to prom, but you have a boyfriend. And if I were to ask you, that'd be kind of fucked up. And this is important later on. So, next up, something ends up happening, and for whatever reason, I end up talking with this one chick that used to be in my math class sophomore year. So for the purpose of confidentiality, I'm gonna say her real name because I don't give a shit. Her name was Megan, okay? So I was talking to her over Snapchat. Yeah, I'm a millennial, all right, get off my ass. So we're talking on Snapchat. One thing leads to another. We end up hanging out. So I come over to her house for the first time, and she lives in like this dorm or whatever, and it was fine. And by fine, I mean I showed up and she was stoned out of her mind, and we sat there and watched American Dad for 6 hours straight while I sat there and was like, dude, this is retarded. So, okay, cool. Next time, fast forward like a week, hang out a week later, come back to her place again, and then, yeah, I show up, and she's like, oh, thank God you're finally here. I've been waiting all day to smoke this bowl. And I'm like, why did you wait until I got here? Are we just gonna watch American Dad for another 8 hours again? Well, I don't know if I actually said that, but that would have been funny. But yeah, so basically she goes ahead and she does the like thing with the, I don't know how it fucking works, okay? She was like, whatever that bowl thing is. Okay, cool. Then we went to Noodles and Company and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it was good. So that was on a Sunday. And then I come into school on Monday, and I hear through the announcements that the deadline to buy tickets is Tuesday. So I'm like, well, shit, what am I going to do? And I was like, hey, can I call you after work? She's like, yeah, that's fine. What's the deal? And I'm like, I just have something to talk to you about. Yeah, but I just don't want to ask you over Snapchat because it's kind of stupid for what it is. And she didn't understand or whatever. And then I got off work and I tried calling her, didn't answer. Okay. I waited another 30 minutes, called her again, didn't answer. Okay. At this point, I was like, I really don't want to go to prom with this chick, but it's my senior year. And I figured, it might be an experience. Like, it's something that you'd want to say, hey, I went to my senior prom. Regardless if you went solo, if you went with a date, if you went with some fucking pothead, whatever, you went. So I ended up texting her, asking her to prom. And I kind of expected her to say no because it didn't seem like she was interested in me. At the same time, I wasn't anywhere close to being interested in her. So I asked her, and then I get a text back, and she's like, oh my God, you're like a blessing. Oh, I can't believe this. Yes, of course I'll go to prom with you. And I'm like, oh. So at this point, I don't know if I'm supposed to be excited or feeling fucked because I didn't want her to say yes. So I call up my buddy. Shout out to you, Chocolate. Oh, and you might know that guy from one of my previous videos where we completely fucked the shit out of him when we were playing Rust for the first time, and I was trying to teach him how to play.
Stop. Alright, that's it. Little bitch. Huh? I'm kidding.
Go check out that video if you want to know what I'm talking about. But I'm like, hey, I'm going to prom. And he's like, are you serious? And I'm like, hell yeah. So trying to keep it optimistic right now, trying to keep all my doubts on the down low. So I buy the tickets, and that's that. So here we are, fast forward, a day before prom. My dumbass didn't even think about flowers. So the dude needs a boutonniere, and the chick needs a corsage. Or no, a bouquet, I think. Yeah, the one with a lot of flowers on it, that one. I didn't order them anywhere, and I didn't know if she got me some, like my boutonniere or what, and I messaged her and I'm like, hey, are we doing flowers? And she's like, I was thinking about it, but you didn't say anything about it, so I just left it alone. And I was like, okay, how about I'll order both of them, and then I'll just pay for them, that's it. And she's like, all right, cool, I'll give you money back later in the night for the boutonniere. So prom day comes around the corner. I leave early in the morning to go pick up these flowers. I look at the receipt, or I sit on the cash register as she was ringing them up. The boutonniere was $18, and the corsage was $95. Wow, this is such a waste of money. So, like, on top of the prom tickets were $70 each. And let's just say they were not worth it. So yeah, I got the flowers, went back to my house, I got all ready, I was looking fucking snazzy as fuck. And then I left the house to go pick her up. And I pulled up to her parents' house where her parents were waiting to take pictures. I knocked on the door, and Megan answered the door, and she had dreads. So, yeah. That happened. Okay, well, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I'm not into dreads. You know, if you're into dreads, cool, that's your thing, go for it, whatever. But like, I don't know, that's just like gross. Like, it just looks like you haven't washed your hair in weeks. Wait, I don't even, you can't wash your hair when you have dreads in, right? All right, well, I mean, I guess I'm not wrong. It didn't look bad. I mean, it was like tied back, and it was in like a circle thing in the back, and she had a couple strands of like regular hair coming down the front. So, I mean, it wasn't bad, I guess. But we took pictures, and then we met with the group out at a public place where like a bunch of the seniors were meeting to take the senior prom pics. And we showed up, took pictures, it was fine, whatever. And her family showed up, and she went to go talk to her grandma or something. And I'm sitting there with Shock, Gina, and Shock's girlfriend. Well, since I haven't shouted her out yet, shout out to you, Elena. So yeah, basically, they're like, dude, she's got dreads. And I'm like, I know, right? She just got them. Like, she didn't have them like the first 3 times we hung out. And I was like, I mean, it's too late to back out now. I drove her. It's not like I can't just leave. I mean, I can, but like, whatever. So, and then Gina's like, God, I don't know why you just didn't ask me to prom. And all 3 of us look at her, and we're like, you have a boyfriend. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you tell me this earlier? So yeah, basically, if I would have asked her, I would have went to senior prom and had a better experience than I did with her. Now, this is where things start to take even more of a downturn. So we head back to the car after pictures to go head to prom. We have 30 minutes to get there. It takes 30 minutes to get there from the place that we were taking pictures at. And as we're walking up to our cars, there's a little sign like right above where we parked, and it said tow zone. And Shock goes, yo, did you get a ticket? And I was like, fuck, I forgot the tickets. So I had to drive all the way back home and be late for prom. So I called my little brother to go run out to the mailbox and drop them off. Just put them in the mailbox so I could just go grab them and leave. And basically we pulled up. I got out of the car to go grab them from the mailbox, and Megan decides to slip 2 edibles out of her purse and into her digestive system. So we leave, eventually show up to prom. Turns out there was a couple seats free at Shock's table, and we sat down, and that was that. So now we're just sitting there waiting for the food to come, which it turned out to be absolutely horrible. Totally not worth $70. And all of a sudden, Megan just starts saying some weird shit, and I could instantly tell that she fucking took something. And by instantly, I mean she picked up the soup spoon and goes to the entire table, hey, have you guys seen that one Family Guy episode where they take the soup spoons and gouge out their eyes? And I just look at Shock, and I'm like, help me. And, you know, if it wasn't for Dom, that's the point where I literally would have got up and left. But he was like, oh yeah, that one episode, yeah, that one, I know what you're talking about, where they take the soup spoon and gouge out their eyes. She's like, yeah, that one. And then the whole table just like starts laughing or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. And yeah, so then we go to the dance at the dance floor, and Megan decides she wants to socialize with everybody. So it was more of a solo dance experience than anything. But yeah, so afterwards we go back, or we actually end up leaving a little bit early because her feet's hurting from walking around too much because she wanted to socialize with everybody. And my head's hurting because this has been a terrible prom experience so far. And I'm embarrassed to be out with this chick in public. So we go back to the car. Then she's like, hey, can we stop at my mom's house so that I can get my car? And then we can go back to my place. And I'm like, all right, cool. And when she says go back to my place, of course that means go back to her place. But in this scenario, for both her and me, it did not mean hook up, because 1, I wasn't interested, and 2, I don't know if she was interested. I don't think she was, but I don't know. So drive back to her house. We go grab her car. I follow her back to her place. On the way there, this idiot runs a fucking stop sign and almost T-bones me. Then okay, we're just gonna go ahead and skip over that. So that got my nerves shaken. And then I was like, all right, whatever. Drive back to her place. We pull up. We get in there. We start, getting ready for bed, or at least I was. And she's like, hey, I'm gonna take a shower. And I'm like, okay. Go for it. So she has a shower on. So before she decides to get in the shower, she decides to take out her bowl and go ahead and smoke some more weed, because I guess that was necessary at 11:30 at night. So she does that, shower's running, and she's in the bathroom, and she's like, hey, I'm taking off my makeup. If you want to take a shower right now or whatever, you can go first if you wanna. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, that's fine. And at this point, I'm like, are you trying to put something down right now? Like, am I picking up what you're putting down? And I took a shower, and then I got out, and I, put on my pajamas. She's still taking off her makeup, so I guess I had the wrong impression, even though I really wasn't fucking interested anyways. But I throw my pajamas on, I sit on her bed, and she's like, okay, I'm getting in the shower now. And I'm like, cool. This is where it gets interesting. So about 5 minutes into her shower, not even, probably like 3.5-ish, 3.25, something like that, she runs out of the shower butt ass naked, and she's like freaking out. She's like, oh my god, look. And she's like pointing at this bump right in her pubic hair area. I start laughing, and I'm like, you got a pimple down there. And she's like, this isn't funny. What if this is herpes? And I'm like, it looks like a pimple. And she's like, no. Oh my god. What if this is herpes eventually turns into AIDS, and that means I'm gonna die soon? And I'm like, you are fucked out of your mind. But she's freaking out. And immediately, just in case, I went and I washed my hands and disinfected myself again. But she's like, could we go to the emergency room to get an emergency STD test? And I've never gotten an STD test before, because I'm not a fucking hoe bag. But I didn't know that it takes 2 weeks to get the result, and it was literally pointless to go in and get it that night. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah, all right, fine, that's cool. And she's like, well, can you drive, because I'm high as fuck right now? And I'm like, oh, okay. So get in the car, we go to the emergency room, and she gets some testing done or whatever, and we sit in the line because there's a bunch of people that are waiting to be checked into the emergency room, and it's our turn. We go up to the counter. Then the person behind the counter is like, hi, what's your problem or whatever? And she's like, shh, there's people sleeping, they're gonna hear you. And she looks at me and she's like, shh. And the chick behind the counter looks at me. I just gave her face expression. I was like, I don't fucking know, man. This chick's fucked. So she ends up giving her information super quietly. And then we go sit down. About 15 minutes later, she does some kind of blood pressure tests and whatever. At this point, it's 11:45-ish. And then we sit down to wait for her to go see the doctor, or ER doctor, whatever you call him. And long story short, we were sitting down in the waiting room until 4:30 a.m. for whatever reason. And it was getting really cold, and I'm like, I'm gonna go out to the car and grab my jacket. So I went out to the car, grabbed my jacket, come back. and she's fucking gone. Like, she's not even there anymore. And I'm like, there's no way she like left me. She must have been just like called in or something. So I sit there for another hour, don't hear from her or anything. And then eventually I get up and I go to the counter. I'm like, hey, did Megan get called in? I left to get my jacket, and like, she's just gone. And she's like, oh yeah, she did get called in. I'm like, okay, thank God. Out of both of us abandoning each other, she was the one that left me tonight. So I went into the room and she's like, oh, what's up? And I'm like, nothing. Are you almost done here? And she's like, yeah, they said it was just acne. It wasn't herpes or anything. And I'm like, yeah, right. So we go back to her place. We go to sleep. I wake up bright and early in the morning and I fucking skeet out of that bitch. Fuck the $18 for that stupid boutonniere. I just wanted to go home and fucking go to sleep. So yeah, that was my prom experience. I've left out some details that I'm realizing later in this recording, but for the most part, that's all the important shit that was really worth making the story. So yeah, thank you guys for watching and listening. This is something that's totally new to my channel. Usually I make tutorial videos or like an occasional gaming montage, but I've always liked the idea of telling experiences because I just think experiences are just something that's just so interesting because every single person on this planet has unique experiences that like are unheard of to other people. And they're just so interesting, and hopefully this is something you guys are interested in, and I plan on continuing to do this more frequently. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and smash that notification bell, because hopefully I'm going to be posting more now and this isn't just another empty promise. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.
With our feet on the ground, and we will talk with our head in the clouds, and we will walk with our feet on the ground, and we will talk.